And today we are going to be talking about falling off the wagon and the impediments to a yoga practice.
All the time. I have students that come up to me and they say, Cynthia, I'm having trouble with my practice. I'm sick.
Yeah.
I have doubts about whether I'm doing the practice the right way. I'm lazy, etc. And the amazing thing to me is that thousands of years ago, that all of these impediments to the practice of yoga were actually written down in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
It's Sutra number 130, and it's absolutely one of my favorites in the whole Yoga Sutras book because it outlines all of the things that happen to us every day that keep us from our own true selves, our svarupa.
Yeah, and it's always encouraging to me, and this is part of we started this sadhana about devoted practice, but also this idea of community, right, and sangha, and that there's so many people who have already gone through these before. So let's use their wisdom to move through these things.
So let's talk about illness first. Some days you might not be feeling very much like practicing. These are the days when I lie down on the floor and take my legs up the wall. And I allow myself permission that is just my practice, perhaps lying down with my legs up the wall. Some days I feel like doing more. Some days I actually want to start slow and taper from there. And I might actually do a recuperative practice. But it's important not only to practice for practice sake, but when you're feeling sick, to do recuperative poses is going to be a lot more useful to your body, to your immune system, than getting on the computer, watching TV, or making other choices when you're feeling tired.
Yeah, in fact, what I see often is that people don't give themselves a break, and that's why they end up getting really sick, is that they're sick, and then they keep going to work, keep getting stressed. And so giving yourself permission to do a yoga practice which is restorative, which is resting your body and allowing your body to heal itself, especially at the beginning of an illness, can actually shorten your illness time.
So another common situation that I see is that people start to come to class on a really regular basis, but find that when they're practicing at home, they think that everything else is more important than their own yoga practice. So you get home and you want to practice, you have the intention to practice, but you get distracted easily by clutters that you need to address or projects that you want to pick up. And of course, this is a really tricky one, but I think for myself that the way I overcome this particular antaraya is I've decided that yoga is important work for me that is just as important as taking care of any other project. I really love delving deep into the asanas, how they make me feel, what they do for me, and exploring them. So I've decided that the yoga practice is my laboratory. The yoga practice is my creative space. And I would much rather do that often than the other creative projects, or not so creative projects, that are waiting for me. I find yoga gives me time. It doesn't necessarily take time, but it gives me time so that I'm more energized to attack or work on some of the other projects as well.
On a related note, talking about going to class on a regular basis, the same thing happens, only it's somebody else. Somebody else, you choose, okay, I'm going to go to this class or these classes every Tuesday, Thursday at this time. I've committed to that. And then somebody comes up to you and gives you some other option, right? So, and that's the moment when you have to choose the yoga again. And why we created this program, right? We're trying to encourage you to do this for 30 days. And then you can experience for yourself what's the benefits of that. And then the next time somebody comes up to you and you have to choose between happy hour and class, or a television program and your personal practice, you will have a personal experience of, no, the better choice is the yoga.
I think it's important that you get really clear on how the practice benefits you and keep that in mind throughout the day. And choose that as people are pulling on you to choose other things because you know how it makes you feel.
So there's another thing, the doubt. We haven't addressed that yet. So, it's an excuse, but it is actually, there's some reality in it. That, you know, when I'm practicing on my own, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to make a mistake? Now, for those of us who've been practicing for some time, we understand actually that there are no mistakes. You know, it's like a scientist. When scientists do experiments, their failed experiments are still valid and still valuable. And so the same is true for you. Your failed experiments, or the times where you might make a mistake, you actually might learn a lot more in those types of practices than when you feel like you're doing everything perfectly.
One of the things that can help you overcome all of the antarayas is building momentum. Momentum in your practice. And I think part of how you build momentum is using what you've learned in class at home. So when you practice the poses that you learn in class at home, you will have the memory in your mind and in your muscles. So you'll feel more comfortable, more confident to overcome those doubts that you might have. And you might start to see connections between the poses you did in class and some of your other favorite poses that you wished you had practiced in class but you didn't have time for, so you practice at home.
You know, in the Yoga Sutras, it also talks about some solutions to these obstacles in practice. Mm-hmm. And two of them are Maitri, which is friendliness, and Karuna, compassion. So that has to start with ourselves. So being friendly with ourselves. So when you fall off the wagon, what's our tendency to do? I've fallen off the wagon, now I'm off the wagon. I'm not going to get back on the wagon. And it gives us an excuse to stay off the wagon. So what about laughing at it? Okay, I fell off the wagon. Next day, I'm back on. I'm back on and doing the practice again. So having that friendliness and compassion for yourself, you would have that for somebody else, right? We have so much friendliness and compassion for other people. When we look at them and see, okay, they are having trouble, can we have that with ourselves?
Another way to keep momentum is to look at things that inspire you. Your altar at home could be inspiring to you, or the pictures that people in this group are downloading onto Instagram and onto Facebook. I'll tell you that some days when I wake up and I've done my pranayama practice, and so I'm feeling good about that, but I'm not really sure what I should do with the limited amount of time for my personal practice, I go on Facebook and I look at the daily yoga forecast and I see Cynthia's Facebook group and I look and see, like, what picture did she post today? And almost always I look at it and I go, that looks really good. And if it's not the daily yoga forecast, then it's light on yoga, or yoga, a gem for women, yoga the Iyengar way. Just looking at a picture of an asana often makes me really want to do it.
It's true. It's true. We'd like to encourage you to share your stories. So along the way, please, we have a Facebook group, we have Instagram, where you can be in class with Heather. We'd like you to tell us what's coming up for you and how are you creatively meeting and responding to these obstacles in your practice.
Thanks so much for watching.
Namaste.
Namaste.